Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Fennel smoked salmon. That's right, we're going to hot smoke some wild Alaskan salmon on some sliced fennel root. Now, this was almost a fantastic recipe. Almost. I got a little greedy at the end. I tried something I shouldn't have, but we'll get into that later. All right, so before we start any of the food prep, I want you to soak some wood chips in water at least an hour or two. All right, and also about 15 minutes before you want to do this thing, you want to build a fire. All right, that's it for the outdoor prep. We're going back inside, and we're going to start this with a bowl of water, to which I'm going to add a little bit of acid, a little bit of vinegar, to keep this fennel root from turning brown. I trimmed off the top, the fronds. By the way, save that, because we'll use some of those green kind of thread-like leaves on the finished plate. All right, so once I trimmed it, I cut it in half, and I took my vegetable slicer. By the way, you got to get one of these. So useful. All right, so I sliced that into nice, thin slices. You can see right there. Once all that is sliced, I'm going to leave that in the water. It's just going to sit there, soak, while I get the rest of the stuff ready. I'm going to prep my salmon, which is just basically seasoning it. I have two large, about 7-ounce, center cut, wild salmon fillets. Beautiful pieces of fish. I'm going to generously season that with salt and pepper, and we're going to head out to the grill. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put 2 handfuls of those pre-soaked wood chips on our white hot coals. All right, I'm going to put the grate back down. I'm going to close the lid with the vents open, and when I see smoke start pouring out of those holes, I'm going to close the vents. I'm going to open the lid, and I'm going to put our now drained sliced fennel right over the grates. So basically the idea here is to build a base of fennel to smoke the salmon on top of. Fennel has a beautiful kind of licoricey anisette type flavor, and that's going to work perfect with the smoked salmon. The fennel root is protecting the salmon from the direct heat. Okay, so that smoke and heat's kind of going up over and around it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close the lid now. The vents are closed, so we're keeping all that smoke in there. All right, I check it 5 minutes later. It's just starting to sort of cook. Still very soft. 10 minutes goes by, and you can see it's getting close. Now this is going to take it between 15 and 20 minutes. And I know what you're thinking right about this point. This dude really likes to poke partially cooked salmon. Guilty as charged, I really, really do. And so after about 15 to 17 minutes, mine was perfect. It's still very tender and soft, but it will slightly flake if you give it a little push. All right, and then my other bright idea, besides smoking the salmon on top of the fennel, was to actually scrape off that fennel and top the resting salmon with that to sort of keep in the heat, give it a little sort of extra smokiness, a little bit extra of that fennel flavor and aroma. So I placed that on there, and you know we got to let our stuff rest. Even salmon, we let it rest at least 5 minutes, okay? And that is pretty beautiful. While that was resting, I decided to finish this with a beautiful tomato salad, very simple, quartered, very sweet cherry tomatoes, salt, pepper, a little bit of sugar, a nice olive oil, as opposed to, a not nice olive oil. And then some fresh lemon juice, squeeze it right on there from an actual lemon, not a plastic container shaped like a lemon. And I should have stopped right here. It was going to be so perfect. But no, I had to do this. I had to think to myself, you know what? You should put in some of that fennel right into your salad. That'll be tremendous. And you know what? It wasn't. All right, but I'll explain that. So to finish, I decided to take some of those fennel fronds, those little beautiful green threads of fennel, and finish the salad with that. And then I plated up, and at this point I was pretty happy with how things had come out. I got my lovely tomato salad. I got my grilled fennel that's now been dressed. Of course, I got a spoon over some of that simple yet delicious olive oil lemon mixture, which of course we know in Food Wish Land as Pop Quiz. That's right, a citronette. Very good. I also would have accepted lemon and olive oil. So now it was time for the taste test for my new invention here, and I was so thrilled that most of it was awesome. So let me explain here. What was awesome was the actual cooking method. The salmon, because it was smoked gently over that fennel, was so moist, just custardy, rich, luscious texture and flavor. Very subtle, yet identifiable smokiness from the wood chips. Just a perfect hot smoked salmon. So that part was amazing. The part that wasn't amazing, these stupid fennel pieces that I added. All right, the flavor was okay, but there's something about what the heat did to the raw fennel. It just made it tough. And I've had raw fennel in salads quite often, and it's just a different texture raw. So anyway, this would have been just perfect if I had just done the salmon on top of that tomato salad with a little bit of that fennel fronds on top. Would have been great like that. So kids, let this be a lesson to you. Never try anything new, okay? Never try to improve things. Anyway, I hope you give that a try, at least the technique for grilling or smoking the salmon over the fennel. Worked great. Anyway, all the ingredients are on foodwishes.com as usual. And as always, enjoy